Hi everybody, it's Peg, and today I'm going to play with Deco Foil Transfer Gel. I had picked this up, I had won a coupon actually when I'd gone to Stamp and Scrapbook Expo in Milwaukee, and I had never tried this product before. It's from iCraft, and I thought, well, you know, this is something good to try, and it was free because I had a coupon. So I'm going to give it a try today and see how it works. Now the directions say to tape a stencil to paper and apply iCraft Deco Foil transfer gel across the stencil using a palette knife or similar tool. Remove excess gel by gently pulling knife flat across the surface. Return excess gel to jar. Let gel dry 1 hour or until completely clear, and then you're supposed to cover the stencil with Deco Foil and transfer sheet. Place inside a folded piece of parchment paper and run it through a laminator. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this and try it through a laminator and see what we get. So it comes nicely sealed, so you don't have a worry of it drying out. So I'm going to pull this foil liner, and it looks very creamy. And I have a palette knife here, and I'm going to do a couple of different things. I have some of these painted papers that I had done, and I think I'm gonna start by using the painted paper first, just because I think I'd like that in the background. Let me turn this way. Got the flower. Yeah, I think I want... Is that so you can read it? Yeah, okay, so let's do it this way. And I think I want it to go off the edge with the foiling. I guess I can trim it out later, but I think for now I'd like it to go right up to the edge. So I'm going to take some painter's tape, and this is just some newsprint underneath here to catch the excess. So I'm going to tape that down as they suggest. Whoops. I don't want it on my piece of paper, I want it on the stencil. And this stencil is well loved, so it's popping up a little bit, so I'm going to try to make sure it gets down to the paper so this stuff doesn't seep underneath. May have a little problem with that, but that's okay. And we've got the last side here to tape down. So it's very creamy. I think I'll leave that flower edge for last. If it's going to seep underneath, that's where it's going to be. Okay, enough playing with that. I've got some water in a pan down here to pop this stuff into, so that this is an adhesive. It's like a glue, so it's gonna stick to whatever surface you put it on. So you want to treat it just like you would anything else that you're putting on a stencil. Pop that into some water, and I think I want to continue with this process, so we'll just speed things up. I'm going to try a plain piece of paper with this stencil. So I'm trying several different stencils and several different papers, some that are painted, some that are not. And I'm just going to coat these quickly. Okay, so our pieces are all dry now. You can see as I hold them up here, the glue has given a raised surface on these. And I'll show you some of these on the plain white, like this. There's reflection. Okay, so we're going to, now this was that under paper that I had that I was just doing my clean offs on. I'm going to run that through first with, I have some older foil. I've heard that some of the older foils don't work as well after they've been sitting for a while. So you see there's this dull side and then the shiny side. And the shiny side is what you want to have on the upward side. So I'm going to cut a few pieces of this. This is smaller than some of these other sheets. I'll show you some of the other options that you have. This I bought many moons ago at a scrapbook store, and you can see I have a variety of different foils here that came in these rolls. And even back then you could get these brushable glues. This was like a duo glue from US Art Quest. This was from Sparkle and Sprinkle. This was La Foil. So there are a number of different glues out there that you can use. This transfer gel that we're using today actually has a raised surface, which gives a little more interest to our foiling. So what I'm going to do here is just put this foil onto my sheet. And it doesn't really matter if it overlaps because it's going to stick wherever the glue is. So I'm just trying to get it to cover the sheet. And then I'm going to put it between a piece of parchment paper. Nothing's curling up on me. That's the way it is when you're trying to show somebody something, right? Okay, so there it is. Put it between the parchment paper and close this down. And then we're going to run that through a good and hot laminator. You can see the power's on and it's got a green light for ready. This was a cheap laminator that I got off of Amazon maybe a year or so ago, and I think it was about 12 bucks. I think that's going to be a little bit too big to go through, so I'm going to cut that down just so we can get this going here. decided to try a few things on my own. These are just some die cut pieces that I cut out of a piece of Sizzix permanent adhesive, and I'm just going to apply that to a piece of cardstock here. Carrier sheet, which is parchment paper, and see what that does. So what we're looking for is some adhesive, right? Let me try that with another one. See if I can do a better job this time. Okay, trial number 2. This time I put some Ken Oliver Stick-It on the front of my card, and I'm die cutting out this thanks, but I think I'm going to leave it in there while I run it through because I want to be able to use both components. So I'm going to open this up and see if I can peel it and add my Ken Oliver Stick-It. And let me show you some of the things that I have learned. Now, I'm going to adhere this down to a card. You could pop it up if you wanted a little more dimension. I'm gonna just do this. Put it down on a card. And then what I would do is where this stuff came out, you're going to want to add these pieces back in. To your word. Well, when you want glue, you get it all, right? Okay. And what I would do with this is I would take a piece of acetate or packaging or whatever, cut it down, and I would fasten that over the top somehow, just to protect that, because this foiling will scratch off, so you want to make sure that you're protecting that. But here's my foiled thanks. Here's the one that I put onto the card. And let me tell you a few of the things I learned. This was that drop paper. Remember, I had just cleaned off my stencils, and this was the paper that was underneath everything. So even this can be used in a collage and would be very beautiful. The other things I wanted to tell you about were, when doing these, when I was working on the white piece of paper like this, I got a really nice crisp image, and I like using the open stencil like this because you get the nice contrast. This is going to work out fine for making, you know, I can put a banner across here with some white cardstock and pop that up off of there, and that'll make a pretty card. The ones that did not work quite as well were these that were closer together, and this one is not as bad as this one. You can see what happened on this one is the foil kind of wrinkled. Now this would still be cool, like if I'm doing inchies or something like that, or if I'm putting an element over the top here where it wrinkled. But you can see I had a little more difficulty with that just because of the fine texture on the stencil. This one is just where I didn't stencil real well, and so I can use something across the bottom here to hide that, and I still get a pretty nice effect. But this is just on the plain cardstock. When I went to doing the painted papers, these are those, I had spray painted some papers, so I had these kind of papers that I was going to work on. I found that because of the nature of the acrylic, some of that foiling wants to stick. Now, I'm not saying it's all a bad thing. I mean, I kind of like this one a lot. For this one, I ended up using it's almost a clear foiling. This is what I used. But it's got an opalescence to it, and this is a Stencil Girl stencil. But can you see that, guys? I kind of like that. It's kind of interesting. Okay, and then this one, I used let's see, which one did I use? I used this particular foil, and this was another Stencil Girl. This was a Seth Apter stencil, and you can see where the paint in the background wanted to pick up some of that foiling. Now, yes, this is still cool. Still got that holographic look to it, and I think it's kind of outer spacey looking, so I might put some little creature on this particular background. I think that's cool. Same thing here. You know, this is another Stencil Girl stencil, but you can see where it wanted to stick, where it wants to stick into the background because the paint is there. This one in particular, it was a fine detail stencil. This was a Tracy Batista stencil on some of that painted paper. And yes, it's cool, but not the effect I was looking for. Another Stencil Girl stencil. And there again, it's sticking to some of that paint. So just be aware of that. If you're doing something other than just the plain cardstock, you may have some of those types of things going on. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like getting my content, be sure and ring that little bell down below. If you hit it twice, it'll say that you're going to get notified every time, and that way you're not going to miss any of the videos that I'm putting out here for you guys. And be sure and give me a thumbs up if you like this, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.